Hello, beautiful people. It's almost the end of the day. I've just, one of my dogs is visiting. Emily here, Emily Diamond here. I've just wrapped up with my coaching calls for the day, and I am wanting to hone in on some very specific things around belief systems. Okay, so one of the main things that I have always worked with, of course, is values. Now, values are what fundamentally matter most to us. Our businesses are an expression of our values. The way we lead, the way we communicate, the way we parent, the way we manage our money, the way we delegate, the way our house looks, everything is a representation of values. Where we get our frustration, our burnout, our fatigue, our conflicts is when we are not behaving in consistent alignment with those values. Okay, and what stops us acting in alignment with our values is two key things. The first is when we've had significant emotional negative events. We call these SEEs. The way your body calls it is traumas or stresses. So really big deal events that have negatively impacted us and shaped us in a way that have us go, oh, I can't do that. Or if I get close to that, that will hurt me. Or when I do that, it equals that. And I ain't doing that again. So we have, you're probably hearing my dog's tail whacking the door. She always seems to want, this is one of the dogs, she always seems to want to come in and chat when I'm talking to you guys, which is very, very nice. She also loves to come in when we are reading bedtime stories, which is really cute. When she was a puppy, she used to be on the bed for bedtime stories, and she's continued to do that. That's our Hokey, our little chocolate lab. So coming back to it, we have these significant emotional events, which is pretty basic Pavlovian psychology. Negative event associated or connected to everything that was going on. And then in the future, be on high alert, be aware, and don't let that happen again. Then we've got this whole other area we look at when we're not acting in alignment with our values, which are our belief systems. And I have worked intensively with belief systems for 15 years, but my biggest frustration has always been not being able to help people do their own belief system changes. So that has been sort of the mission and the quest. And I wanted to reach out to you guys and give you an idea today of what it's like when you change a belief system. So I want you to imagine sitting down to plan your day, plan your week, plan your month, plan your year, do your business planning. And the brick walls that normally pop up that say, oh, I can't even think about that, I can't imagine that, I can't do that, that we shouldn't try this, it won't work, don't bother. Imagine those brick walls not popping up. That's what changing a belief does. Those pop-ups, those barriers, those blocks do not happen, okay? And that's one of the ways I help clients identify where their limiting belief systems are, is we go through the process of starting to set down some plans, starting to lay out some goals. And what immediately pops up is all the belief systems that conflict with those goals. And we only set goals two ways. We set goals in alignment with our values, and we set goals to avoid pain, all right? So this thing around those brick walls that pop up, straight up, easy, that is an amazing way to identify beliefs. Now, beliefs are subconscious, so we don't know they're running the show until we fully isolate and look at them under the microscope. And that's what a coach does. That's what having an expert facilitator does. We can hear what's behind what you're saying. We can see behind the behavior. We're trained to do this working backwards of going, that behavior, those responses indicate these belief systems. And then we've got to go to an even better level. So to me, I wasn't satisfied with the idea of, highest probability is you've got that belief, okay? I wasn't okay with that. I wanted to know that, yep, we can register that those beliefs, the person has them, and find a way of testing that the people actually have those beliefs. And then I wanted a mechanism to test when the belief had changed, because obviously the biggest evidence is the change in behavior. However, when we're working in a coaching dynamic, we change the belief, you trot off into your business and into your life, and then we have a checkpoint of, has the behavior changed, and has it changed the way we wanted it to? That wasn't working for me because I didn't like the time lags. I've got this thing about time lags, and I wanted to get an instant feedback mechanism that showed that the belief was changing, and then see what happened with the time lags. Okay, so over time I've done what I've had to do. I've had to train in lots of different techniques, practice them, implement them, learned the wrong ways to teach them, which was a big part of this experience for me as a coach, was learning the wrong way, the absolute wrong way of teaching this, and it only working in like 1 in 5 people, and now I've got it up to working 100% of the time. So this thing of being able to isolate beliefs, number one, then being able to test for them and then test for the change of them, those were very important to me. The last part that was super important to me was people being able to do the change themselves. I don't like guru syndrome. I don't like, oh, I have to go to that person for that thing. And of course, getting expert advice will always get you a much bigger result in a much quicker time. And when we're talking about basic things, right, like beliefs, because they are just pretty basic, right? It's true or false. That's how simple it is. From the moment we're born and we start walking through the world, we're walking through our environment going, that's true, that's not true, that's true, that's not true, I agree, I disagree, I like it, I don't like it, that's true, that's false, that's right, that's wrong, yes and no, yes and no. We're literally walking through life sorting reality that way, which then of course determines all our choices, all our behavior, all our opportunities. And it is that simple. And I was like, it shouldn't have to be that hard. Okay, so another one of the things I want you to imagine in changing a belief, so I'm kind of coming back around, I want you to imagine this, that you can walk through your day and you can see in your own behavior, oh, I've got some sort of block, I've got a negative emotion coming up, I've got a limiting belief. Oh my goodness, telling me I can't do that, I shouldn't do that, oh, it's not possible, or I am this way. Walking through your day and being able to see, oh, I must have a limiting belief there or a toxic belief there. And then in the next moment of quiet that you have, like sitting on the toilet or checking your phone or eating lunch or drinking a glass of water or sitting at a red light in traffic, you can switch that belief off in your brain. Imagine that, okay? That's exactly what happens. So people do this lying in bed at night, going to, like waking up in the morning, doing it in the shower. It is wonderful. So if that's kind of stuff and imagining that stuff gets you excited, another way to look at it is you could also think of walking through the world, overhearing the way people talk. People you think are positive role models, right? So hearing the way people talk, reading something that inspires you and going, whoa, I want to think like that. I literally want to adopt that phrase or that attitude or that perspective or that view around what's possible or my potential or who I am in the world. And then same thing, like I want to think that, I want to feel that, I want to embody that, I want to behave that way. And then in less than 2 minutes, have that coded into your psychology. That's what this is making available. So I'm super excited to share it all with you guys. I've got a few people who are wanting to do it earlier than when the digital training comes out. So with the digital training, my intention is that anybody anywhere in the world can learn to do this, okay? And you don't need to be highly skilled. You are given all the resources in terms of lists of beliefs that you can test. So if you're not able to do that work of going, oh, what are my beliefs? Because that's a big blockage for people getting started. What are my beliefs? I don't know. So I provide a whole bunch of belief lists. So limiting beliefs that you want to check for. And if you've got them, get rid of them. And then beliefs that are empowering, okay, around a whole the different areas of life. And if you don't have them, because you can check, do I have them or not with the testing tool, then being able to go, okay, great, let's code them into my psychology. Let's store them. So they've got people who don't want to wait for that digital program. So I'm going to take a few people privately through this process between now and mid-November. I had 2 people ask for it today and I was like, well, okay, let's figure it out. So I'm announcing it to you guys now. If you want to do that, feel free to join in to just have a chat with me about if you think that it's the right thing for you to do to identify those beliefs and get the expert advice. The way I like to think about it is getting coached around identifying beliefs is just like when you see a building getting demolished. So with expert demolition artists, they identify the key places to do what's called lay the charges. So when a building gets blown up, they don't put dynamite everywhere. They calculate the right amount of explosive to be at very particular points of the structure. And then when they set them off, they know that that's going to have a controlled and specific effect in terms of getting the building collapsed, getting the building demolished. So they're not using too much dynamite, they're not using too little and having to come back later. They're identifying the points of the biggest impact. And compared to doing generic lists of belief change, that's what having a coach will do, because we can listen and we can very quickly identify the language patterns, the behavioral signs, and then be able to go, oh, it's this belief system. And some belief systems are sort of like the mother lode, okay? They are the big charges. So you can have superficial beliefs, for instance, around being a leader, how you operate in business, and then you'll have big fundamental underlying beliefs that actually encase all of them. So instead of just doing little belief here and there, we can go for these much bigger charges. That's what the difference is between doing it one-on-one and then being able to do it sort of digital as a training program where you're not getting the one-on-one reflection and coaching. So if anybody's interested in that, I'm going to take a few more spaces. That's till mid-November when the program launches, and then my energy will go into making sure that gets distributed properly alongside all the work I do with my beautiful private clients. So feel free to reach out. My booking link is there at the bottom of this post. It's emilydiamond.com.au/booking. You can speak to myself. Sometimes I have a team member on those calls, and they are more than competent at supporting you through working out if this is the right type of action for you to take, because they've been coached, they know the experience, they have that same training of being able to hear what's behind what our behavior is doing. So reach out, let me know, and we'll work out if this is the right time for you. I think I've only got a couple of call times available end of next week, but you can use my calendar system there in the bookings page to figure that out. I'm sending you all heaps of love. I hope you got some interesting stuff today around different ways that we identify belief systems and how I've been it's been many years of work of getting this right. So I'm looking to share as many resources I can around beliefs. Even just today, there was belief systems identified. I've got client notes here. It's just fascinating, and we are only not acting true in alignment to our values where there is these belief systems or these significant emotional events coded there, okay? And of course, from significant events, we have developed further beliefs, okay? So often you don't even, people don't want to actually do the work of addressing the trauma and doing regression therapy and contextual work. They just want to unpick all the beliefs that they determined from that negative event. And that works just the same, okay? It speeds up our process. It speeds up our integration. It gives us back all of our choices around our behavior, much more empowered perspective, and the limiting negative emotional states just go away. So like one client 2 weeks ago, she gave me an update on something, and I didn't know about this at the time when we were doing change on a particular belief. We identified a really nice, big, juicy charge. So instead of just working on superficial beliefs, we went for the big underlying belief system that encapsulated it all. I didn't know at the time that she was having a persistent, reoccurring negative thought that she couldn't shake. All I knew was she was like, this is what's going on. These are the circumstances. Here's my behavior. Here's what the future looks like for me in terms of limited potential and what I'm able to do and what I'm free to do and what choices I can make, how resourceful I am. And so I worked backwards from there. When she was giving me feedback a week later, it was her saying, oh yes, and that persistent reoccurring negative thought stopped. And I said to her, what persistent reoccurring negative thought? Because I didn't know about it. But that for her was the big contrast of before that thought was dominating her and producing a negative emotional state, and she was going on the downward spiral with it. I didn't know about that thought. So that was brilliant contrast for me, because it was even further reminder of that's right. Beliefs technically are not thoughts. They are the determinant of thoughts. Okay, and this is where I disagree with Abraham Hicks. I love Abraham Hicks so much in terms of teaching people to focus on your emotional state, because that's where we need to do all of our pay attention. If I'm fearful, it's because I need to pay attention to how I need to prepare, or because there's a past issue I've got to charge, right? So I love Abraham's focus on state. Pretty much it's the same philosophy that Anthony Robbins is teaching, okay, which is pay attention to the feedback that your nervous system has given you. There's a lot of evolution that's gone into that system. It's highly intelligent. Please learn what it's about and respond to it. You know, for years, I was just a chronic repressor, an escape artist. I just wanted to escape my feelings and repress my feelings. And my life got worse and worse, and my business got worse and worse, and my relationships got worse and worse, and my health got worse and worse. So this highly evolved system we have, pay attention, right? So Abraham and Robbins, I absolutely adore that aspect of their teaching. But the teaching that Abraham does around beliefs, they have this phrase, which is, beliefs are a thought that you just keep thinking. And in that, it assumes that we can identify those thoughts and we know what those thoughts are. And at any moment, we can stop those thoughts. But beliefs are subconscious. Thoughts are conscious, right? So this thing around that you should just stop thinking that and you should just change your belief. Oh, whoa, Nelly. Unless we have highly specialized tools for that and a pretty good level of awareness or guidance tools, that's just setting us up to feel like a dickhead who can't do this supposedly really simple thing. And it's just another layer of disempowerment. So I don't buy it. I think it's BS that beliefs are thoughts that you just keep thinking. To me, they are conditioned patterns that if you're highly skilled or you get particular guidance, then yes, absolutely you can identify them. But even then, changing them is a whole other matter. There's very, very, very few people on the planet who can do that level of compartmentalization where they can just go, see that, it's not true for me anymore. Okay, usually it takes a lot of logic processing. There's like the DeMartini method does that. I love that. I'm trained in that. And it takes a ton of logical, intellectual work to do that. So that's my thing. I don't believe you have to suffer to get the change once we've got the right techniques and the right tools. To me, it's just like using my dishwasher instead of washing dishes. That's a more energy efficient process for me. It's also more water efficient and it gets a better result. I'm going to do that. Okay. That's how I view this. So please feel free to reach out to me. I love learning about everybody and their businesses. It's a really beautiful time here right now in terms of in Australia, it's springtime. We're preparing for the last quarter of the year and it's where everybody gets excited about planning the next year. So for my core corporate clients and large privately owned clients, we do all of our 2020 planning in this year. So yeah, reach out if that's also something that's of interest to you and you've been snooping around watching me for a while around the work I do with business leaders. Feel free to book in a chat as well. I'm offering these programs around belief change to make this work more accessible for a broader number of people, not just the business owners that I do the intensive high-end work with. So I'm trying to share the love and spread the love. And as you can probably tell, I just love teaching and I can't get over how simple and easy it is when we're given the right tools and resources. And it's the stuff that I was calling out for so many years and nobody could give me until I, had to pay a ton of money for it. And I absolutely believe that that was like the best investment. And obviously now with what I do, I appreciate getting paid very well for what I do because we've produced a very specific high level of results. So for me, I was like, and it took so much back then to find what actually worked. So I waded through a lot of crap to find the stuff that worked. And that's what I'm really committed to, is making sure we get as many people as possible, increasing their quality of life, living values aligned lives so they can make a difference to their communities, to their businesses, to their families. And we can all start actually taking care of each other in this world, right? That is what I'm really about. So let me know what you're up to. Some people, are concerned about interacting on Facebook and talking about stuff in this sort of forum. And for that, I have my little private groups, not so little anymore actually, but those little groups, I love them. Feel free to join me on them. But the most important thing is if this stirs something in you right now around, oh yes, I go to do my planning and those blocks come up. I go to look at the future and I don't know how to adopt those positive mindsets or those belief systems of the role models around me, then you got to reach out. This is just perfect for you. All right. Okay. I'm sending you all lots of love. Bye.